Make love your focus. This is the dream of love you are. The manifest time-space world. Learning ground playmat of experience is the dream of your ultimate essence. It's the dream of your ultimate self. It's the dream through which we learn. It's the apparent fragmentation of life that allows life to know what it is. Because in oneness, as only oneness, there is not that knowledge. Oneness seeks to know itself, and when it's known itself through its projection, its dream world of time and space reality, it comes back into itself, and in coming back into itself, it is whole again. It comes back in with the knowledge of itself, and it's whole again. And when it's whole again, what happens? It's all one again, and so it needs experience again, and so it blows out again in time and space. Experiences comes back in, and this inward-outward movement, this is the pulse of life. This is like the evolutionary movement of life we came from. Like, imagine primal sea creatures. They are this in and out movement. This is primal consciousness. This is primal consciousness. This is the movement of consciousness. And it's evolved into the beat of the human heart. You know, this is the in and out of the human heart. This is the drum beat of consciousness. The in, out, in, out, in, out. It's the play, it's the dance, it's the experience of who we are. And it happens on all scales, across all scales, because each scale is just like a different view of the fractal, a different, I mean, it's all consciousness. You can have this much consciousness, this much consciousness, this much consciousness, no matter how much consciousness you're talking about, what level of consciousness you're talking about, it is always only consciousness. So knowing consciousness is knowing all that is. And you are consciousness. Know yourself, and know God, know the meaning of life, know all of it, and create from there. Create what you want to create. Because you are this impulse of love, creating. It's like there are so many ways to say this one truth. And that's what the world is, I suppose. It's like the world is just different versions of this truth, different stories of this one truth. And so yeah, reality, each story is valid, each story is a reality, and yet there is one reality. And I had a thought earlier this afternoon, the difference between monastic and monistic. So mono means one, yeah. Monastic, like a monk. Monistic, or monism, is oneness. Monism is oneness. So what's the difference between a monk and oneness? It's like monastic, monistic. Monastic has the A, monistic has the I. So it's like, in being a monk, you are a monk. It's just a bit of a stretch here, but it's like a monk. Monistic I. It's like a, one of many, a monk, an expression. I, monistic, I, monistic. It's like a monk is an expression of oneness, monistic is oneness, and each I that exists is oneness. It's like we don't just have to limit ourselves to being a version of oneness. We are oneness. We don't have to stand under any order. There's no order in monism. There is just what is true and what is born from truth. It's not like an order of time and space, it's an order of consciousness. And all consciousness is of course going to be, it stands over expressions of consciousness because expressions come from that one source. That is this moment, here and now, experienced through us, that we are. And like I said, imagining the sun or a light. I actually imagine it's in my imagination, but I can relate it to the sun. You know, at first when I saw this image of this light, it wasn't like I knew it was the sun. It's only after time that knowing that it's the sun or the central sun has kind of filtered into my consciousness. So truth reveals itself to us, but deeper and deeper as we go on. So as I initially saw this light, burning ball of light, it was just in my mind as a kind of ethereal, dreamlike light, you know. It's like and this is the present moment, and this is the sun, and today is Sunday, and I was thinking about the day of rest, like in biblical stuff. Sunday is the day of rest, and just wrote something about that. So Sunday, day of rest. It's a day of rest where we can rest into ourselves. Day of rest, to yield and unfold into being. That being which we are here and now. That presence, that light, that love, that life, that essence. Sunday, day of rest, to yield and unfold into being. A cosmic anchor, touching base with who we are to help us through our week. So it's interesting when we have this idea of a week and a Sunday, and the sun is a day of rest, which implies the remainder is not restful. Touching base with the sun gives us centre in which to move out into our week, move out into our expression, and every 7 days we come back to that, if you go by that recommendation, you know. So yeah, this is the dream. This world we live is the dream. Ultimate essence is here and now, where you are. So this video is mostly going to be what I've written, just to summarise this sort of section. Ultimate essence is here and now, where you are. Here and now is all oneness happening. Here and now it's all oneness happening. So it's like this fading in and out of manifest and unmanifest. Internal realms, external realms. And in that process, through that process, you are watching yourself. You are self-watching. watching to find out, to learn, to explore, to experience. It's like a human being when a human being is born. It starts to learn, to explore, to experience. This is what our consciousness is doing every moment. So the physical is a reflection of the spiritual. The physical is born of the spiritual. And physical learning is an image of the spiritual learning. You know, it's like and this is what I mean by there's no order, but there is a natural law, and that is that spirit is key. Spirit is, I mean key as in K-E-Y, not key as in energy, although spirit is energy. Spirit is all there is, and everything else is in service to that. So the closer we are to spirit, the more we are in service to ourselves. And what else are we to be in service to? This is not selfish, because self is all there is. It's universal. It encompasses everything, and it's not my egoic version of what self is. We have to strip the ego to see self clearly. It's not like a projected. It's not ego projecting self. It's essence projecting self, and you have to know the difference. And that whole difference, learning the difference, is spiritual development. So yeah, you are watching yourself, you are self-watching. Pure love stepping down to form. In form it never quite matches its sort of exalted, elevated version. Because in form it is a crystallization, and as we've seen, in crystallizing in form we kind of we have to exclude other things to have a definition of one thing. It's how we define ourselves. We know we're English because we're not French, for example. Or I know I'm English because I'm not French. It's like a way of understanding. Understanding in the world is in terms of opposites, in terms of what we are not. So this is like a negation. But spiritual understanding is an affirmation. It's not a negation. So when we finished with trying to understand ourselves through what we're not, when we reach that point where we've gone out far enough, we start to understand ourselves through what we are, and we start to marry up essence and experience, marrying closer and closer until we come back to that essence. So pure love stepping down to form. In form it never quite matches, it never quite remains as elevated as it was before it was born, but in essence it remains the same. In essence it hasn't changed. In essence life is life. The essence of life is contained within the form of life, and this is why we can look at a flower, give a flower our concentrated attention, or our expanded attention, or just look at this flower, give it awareness, and things can be revealed to us. Deep mysteries can unfold around us because we've given our attention to one aspect of the creation, which is not disconnected from the Creator, the creative consciousness, the creative power of the universe, that which we are. So universe creates us, creates flower. Human can look at flower and get in touch with the universe because it's all the same stuff, it's all the same consciousness. In essence it remains the same, always, and in all ways. So whatever form it takes, whichever direction of journey it chooses, it is all spirit, always, and in all ways. Sun to sunbeam, so essence to what is born of essence. Sun to sunbeam, one sun, one light. So this is what I mean. We can separate sun and sunbeam in terms of these are different things to the expression, but it's all one light of one sun. Okay, so when this pure essence, timeless essence, presence, here and now is cast out in time and space, when our pure consciousness is cast out in time and space, when this star stuff is sprinkled across the worlds. What is happening? It's like we're all just taking different routes away from and back to ourselves. It's I've written here, we're all just looking for love in one form or another, in one way or another. Sometimes misguided, but we eventually find our way. It's like, however anyone is in the world, however sort of unaligned with love they may seem, what are they doing? They're working with what they've got and the experiences they've had in order to get what they want. And even though they don't know what they want, ultimately all any of us ever wants is connection with meaning, connection with self, connection with other. And true connection with other comes from knowing that the other is not other, it's you. So this is life finding its way in form and beyond form. The experience is the dream. The experience is the dream. So as I've talked about before, this pure sunlight essence, unmanifest essence, all that is, here and now, timeless eternity, here and now. It never changes, it's unchanging, it's timeless eternity, it never changes, and this is all that is. Everything else is the projected dream of the universal, of that universal consciousness. It's the projected dream. We're living the experience of the dream until we return back to the dream, you know. Is it your dream? Who are you? So, it's like, are you creating or are you just living within the creation? It depends how you define yourself. If you define yourself as a limited part, then you're just living within the creation which is someone else has created. But if you know you are a creative being, then you know that the world is not just as it is. The world is as you and as we collectively create it. So, it's your dream? Question mark. Who are you? Aha, limited expression and also spiritual driving force. So it's your direct experience. It's your direct experience, and you choose what perspective you want, whether you are aware that you are choosing or not. You are choosing. Your very life is a choice, and you're laying testament to what you think is possible, to what life is. Through the way you live, you are teaching what life is as you understand it. By the way you live, you are defining life for everyone to see, and for your consciousness to see, for ultimate essence to know the definition of what life is. So for me, I want to define life as close to essence as I can, and this is what I'm working on, because this is the truth I feel, this is my truth, this is our truth. But yeah, some people claim it, some people don't. Maybe we're all claiming it, but to consciously claim it is to consciously know what is happening here is a beautiful thing. And so I think when we're conscious of what is happening here, then life, it just takes on so much meaning, so much beauty. So it all happens here now. The pure light sun is here now. Where else? Everywhere? Nowhere? Here now. What do you identify with? The dream or... the dreamer or the dreamed? The creation or the creator? Here now you make your choice. Here now you decide. Earth, matter, and sky, spirit, you contain them both. And this is one thing that was revealed to me, not through my own, not through my research or whatever, but through my own consciousness. This idea earth and sky. It's not a new idea, it's a universal idea. But I had to work on myself before it could filter in, This idea that earth, matter, sky, spirit, this is the vertical axis. This is what I said before as the spiritual, organic spectrum. It's like on this vertical axis we may be quite earthbound, we may be quite spiritual and ungrounded, or we can be in the middle, in the middle where we are the marriage of earth and sky, of spirit and matter, of consciousness in a body, and of a body serving consciousness, rather than just in a body forgetting consciousness, or in spirit hardly being in the world. It's like when we know both, then we can go to the extremes of body and spirit, but maintain the connection, maintain the understanding of both. It's like, but when we don't have the understanding of one of those aspects, then we're not fully in this vertical axis of communication between spirit and matter, matter and spirit. This spectrum, knowledge of the wholeness of this spectrum is knowledge of the wholeness of life rather than one aspect of it. So earth, matter and sky, spirit, you contain them both. And so while we have this vertical axis of spirit and earth, we also have time and space axis, which is I see as the horizontal plane, which is our interactions on the surface of the earth, or our interactions with other people, other places, that are interactions in the world. So these interactions in the world can be on the horizontal plane close to the earth, or a horizontal plane close to spirit. And to me this is the cross, this is the symbol of the cross. This is time and space, horizontally, connection to divinity, vertically. So I've written two channels, cross, centre, you are. So you are the centre, where these two lines meet. This is the connection of time and space experience with the ultimate essence, ball of light that I described. So this meeting of these two planes, the centre of the cross, this is the heart that is the sun. So this is our heart, this is the human heart, and this is the heart that is the sun. The present moment here now. Because in the present moment we have access to both of these realms. In the present moment we can be operating in time and space, in the horizontal plane. And in the present moment we can be connecting to our essence. So marrying the two together is uniting earth and sky, is uniting time and timelessness. It is the Christing of being. It is the... I don't mean this from a Christian perspective. This is, you can take any perspective. People from all traditions have done this. People today do this. They understand the principles of the universe, the unity of our time-space experience and our timeless essence. And they understand that it's all happening here now, which is the centre of that cross. So centre you are, this is the heart, this is the sun, the present moment here now. This is the centre of the wheel of life you are turning. The wheel of life you are turning. The wheel of life you are turning. From centre point within, turning the worlds. You are. Align the two as one. Come back to self, come back to centre and live from there, from here. Wherever you are, just be here, where you are. So, we can be in essence and we can be in time and space, like the two channels which we can unite and live from the centre where the two meet. And This means we have access to both, access to both realms. In here there is a beat, there is a pulse. It is the spiritual sexual energy, the sexual spiritual energy, or life force. It is the dance of pure potential, stillness, of being into and out of form, from stillness to experience, to stillness to experience. So what I mean here is like from timelessness to time and space, to timelessness to time and space, to timelessness. It's the dance, it's a beat. Moment to moment is this dance, and as we know, there is just one moment, and that is who you are. One moment here now in you. So this beat is held within unity, is held within oneness. It's like this beat, this rhythm, this pulse of life, this cycling of life, is held within oneness and is the experience and expression of oneness. Because oneness contains the whole spectrum, oneness from timelessness into time and space, back to timelessness. It's all held in timelessness because timelessness never ends and never begins. It just is, and you just are. So enjoy it, enjoy the ride. You are where it happens. So moment to moment, one moment here now in you, you are where it all happens. For where else is life? From where else are you? The very fact that you're alive here shows that you are consciousness, right? You are an actor, you are a doer, and this doer is not random, this doer is not a chance occurrence. This doer, or this apparent doer, is part of the universal plan of consciousness experiencing itself. And it doesn't have to be a plan as such laid out. Consciousness is a natural intelligence, it's the intelligence of the universe we are. In and out of love we go, or appear to go, for love is all we are. Making love your focus, you are in love. Ultimately, this is what it means to be in love. It's like, again, there's the world image which can be distorted. In love means, okay, so I love this person at the exclusion of all else. That in itself can be a manifestation of spirit, if we're seeing that other person as an expression of the oneness that we are also. But it can be an exclusionary thing. It's like, I love you, I don't love this person. It's like, it can be a time and space exclusion, another aspect of separation. So this is what I mean, like the reflection of divinity we see in the world can reflect divinity honourably, or it can completely miss the point. And it depends. We completely miss the point when we are disconnected from our spiritual consciousness and locked in a consciousness of body, mind is all there is. But when we're not locked in that consciousness, body, mind becomes a beautiful extension of the conscious energy we are. And the love for another is not simply a love for the body, mind, it's a love for consciousness, for life, for love. So love, as we've seen, it exists always and in all ways. It takes whatever form it needs. And there are a variety of forms in order that love, the whole, can know itself wholly, entirely, in its entirety of possibility. So it can be soft or strong. Love in its entirety is not either end of the spectrum. It is not either end of the spectrum. Love in its entirety is the spectrum held in one, either end of the spectrum rejoined into a circle, into the sun, into the light. So love in its entirety is not either end of the spectrum. It is one song of universe we are. Universe, one song. It's the song of oneness. The word universe says it, it's the song of oneness. Universe, one song. And if we're lost in the parts, We've forgotten what we're here for. So let's sing from the same hymn sheet. And I've written that, but I also think like we don't need hymn sheets because we are the song. You know, it's like it's our own life. You are the moment of the life that you are, and you share your life with all other life forms. One life, beyond form, and yet in it for a time to see. It's one life you are. We are, we are, we are. And there comes a point where there's nothing more to say, you know, it's love, it's life, it's being, it's whole. And you are it. And this is, I like to learn from all different ways, because when you see what I'm talking about, it's like, which you might well do anyway, it's like you see that all these different strands are just images of the one truth, so why exclude some for one, you know, why exclude any? It's all learning. But I found one that resonates for me is non-duality. Non-duality, Advaita Vedanta. It's like I am that, like I mentioned that book, Nisargadatta. This is one of the best spiritual books to my understanding. This is I am that which we are. So non-duality is like seeing life, seeing love, seeing self as beyond the separation of one thing from another. Life beyond duality. It's like it's interesting that we take duality to be a truth, and then to define what is actually more true, we have to give it the inverse name from the illusion, like non-duality. It might be more appropriate to just call it isness. What isness? Oneness. But then in oneness, there's nothing to say, and you can say whatever you want. So, because oneness takes many routes, many ways, away from itself and back to itself. So I've written, life is a meditation on being, and you are the meditator, the mediator of your own consciousness. There can be no imitation, so consciousness for you, for your experience, consciousness exists nowhere else but, well, it exists everywhere. It exists everywhere. Our whole world is consciousness. But in terms of your direct experience, consciousness exists within you. If we're basing our life on what we read in the newspaper, this is not our direct experience. This is taking on something external as our direct experience. It's the covering of the self. Non-duality, isness, is about coming back to the self and seeing from that direct reference point, clear of all external coverings and identifications, that there can be no imitation, for the life you are is not outside of yourself. The life you are is you. It's like they say the truth is within, and that is the case, but it's not within or without. It is. It just is. So there is no limitation but which you choose to inform yourself with. All the limitation around you is nothing if you don't take it on as your own, and this is why we need spiritual strength, spiritual power. So we're not swamped by the dross of ignorance, you know. It's like, this stuff is primary. This stuff is primary. Knowing what I've talked about in these 12 videos is primary, and yet people go through a whole life without even touching it, without even knowing it. So I've written missing it and missing themselves. People can completely miss themselves. This stuff is primary. From here we can move, otherwise we're just perturbations in the void, nothing and nowhere. the little kind of little twitches in nothingness. This is what we are if we don't know where we come from and what we're here for. So, unaligned to spirit, we deny ourselves of the eternal life we are. Eternity is here and now. Eternity is timelessness, that presence beyond time and space that we can tap into. You know, that vertical axis that we can feel anywhere we are within the time-space matrix. We can connect within and up. You know, it's like this is like I talked about the cross. So eternity is here now. This is where it all happens, where it all is. The timeless moment here and now. And actually you might know it already, without understanding it like I do. Maybe you don't have to understand it like this. Maybe you don't have to understand it like I do. Of course you don't. You have to understand it like you do. But you have to understand it, and you will know what I mean. You understand it your own way. This is the whole point. This is the whole point. You are truth understanding itself in its own way. Truth exists always and in all ways. So long as you are being true to life, living as best you can, you are aligning to truth. And that's like truth with a capital T, truth, universal truth, not just an individual truth. Yeah, we can have truth on individual terms, just like we can have reality on individual terms. You know, it's but ultimately we're going beyond the individual to the universal. So long as you are being true to life, living as best you can, you are aligning to truth. It doesn't have to be fancy or articulate. Aligning is enough. Being is enough. It's all you are. And I've written that we're so harsh with ourselves and each other, the deeper self of who we are, deeper self of one. So it's like we kind of, in crystallizing ourselves in time and space in form, we harden our edges, we become hard, you know. It's seen as a good thing to be hard, to be, you know, it's like seen as a strength, but it's not a strength. It's a symbol of fragility, because we wouldn't have to box ourselves up if we weren't so vulnerable. You know, fragments are vulnerable to the push and pull and the ups and downs of the world, but spiritual essence, it needs no covering. It knows its safety because it knows its eternity. So soften into being, into that which you are. Yield, unfold, open to let the light that you are shine through you, and build worlds upon this with this light of the consciousness you are, and the consciousness of the light you are. You know, we get so bogged down by all these words, but like I've said, love, life, presence, here now, timelessness, eternity, all being, all energy, or pure being, pure energy. This is all, to me, this is all God, this is all self, this is all love, this is all light. As we give ourselves permission, others give themselves permission to be who we are, one being here now. Match your consciousness to the sun you are, the sun which you were born from, to which you return. Sunbeam to the sun, individual to essence. Pure love light emanating from within, creating worlds of your making that are also you outside. The inside-outside divide is only a place where you hide from the truth of yourself, because it scares you and you are beautiful. So often we don't want to look at ourselves, we don't even want to contemplate who we are, because we know we've done a lot of things we're not proud of, perhaps, or we haven't acted in our highest truth, and so we'd rather disconnect ourselves from looking at ourselves, because it's hard work. It's difficult to look at yourself, and I think this is for two reasons. It's difficult for human beings to look at themselves, for us to look at ourselves. One, because we're scared of all the shit we might see, and two, which I think is even more worrying for us, we're scared of how beautiful we are, because if we've been locked in a conception of self which is meaningless, you know, we can, on one hand we can be looking for meaning, but to find it is scary. To find that beauty when your whole life has been based on the fact that, well, on the absence of beauty, then beauty scares you, because it's like It's like in opening yourself up to beauty, it's almost like you're negating the whole rest of your life which wasn't in service to beauty. It's like, oh, and that's scary. It's like, have I wasted my life here, you know? So the inside-outside divide is only a place where you hide from the truth of yourself because it scares you and you are beautiful. If time and space has been your world up until now, then it's a big step to take the jump into timelessness. It means sacrificing all you know. But now is where you are. And when you know that, the sacrifice of what you are is not sacrifice at all. It's not any sacrifice at all. I am you and you are me. The love within everyone is the love within yourself. The love within yourself is the love within everyone. Love equals life. So, I know this, and yet I'm realising it on a deeper and deeper level. It's like it seeps in. It's gradually kind of, you remember, and that remembrance goes deeper, deeper, deeper. More and more elevated, and more elevated, depends which. You know, it's like, as you become who you are. I'm still remembering, and as we remember, life gets more and more beautiful, because it returns to itself, to what it is, as you return to yourself, to who you are. Life. This is all that's happening here. Life. However you choose to express. The greater our understanding of life, of self, the more aligned our expression of it can be in the world. Because we know what we are expressing. We know what we are articulating and why. So this is why we need to know ourselves, why we need to know life, because otherwise we don't know what to do with it. Consciousness in experience, learning, exploring, experiencing, being. You are this. The love within everyone is the love within you. Not even within, inside, outside, one, all around, that you are. You could be anyone if you were shaped differently. So if we all had different time and space experience, we could be a different way to what we are. And so, to me that's like a sign that we're not as solid as we think we are. We're not as fixed as we think we are. We are this consciousness that is fluid, that takes on different forms and ways depending on the circumstance that it seeks to learn through. And all of the circumstances that we're living through correlate to what we are here to learn, as consciousness learning about itself. You know, like all your problems, that annoying phrase, because when you're annoying, because when you're stuck in problems, you don't want to see them as opportunities, because they're tough, you know, they're challenging. But these challenges, these problems, are opportunities for us to grow, opportunities for us to learn. And what is learning? It's not for no reason. Learning is to integrate what we think of as ourself with what we actually are as ourself. Beyond thought to feeling, but not feeling of a whim of an individual expression, feeling of a consciousness which is alive and sensing, creative intelligence that knows how to create form in order to learn. I mean, what a mystery, what a beautiful mystery. Isn't it worth learning about? Isn't it worth getting in touch with? You know, it's like everything around us is pointing us back to ourselves. The trees, how they root to nourishment of the earth, to the solidity of the world, and they grow up towards the sky, they grow up and expand up towards the light. We're all growing and expanding up towards the light, and we're all holding the light and the earth together. You know, that's what we're here for. It's kind of like, yeah, we're here to unite spirit and matter, and This is learning who we are. So we may think we are just matter and use our mind to identify with that until we realise we are spirit also. And then the mind, processor of consciousness, which is all around us, a mind which transmits and receives consciousness, unites the duality as one, and then we see the oneness of consciousness. We see the unity of our true identity. You could be anyone if you were shaped differently. I am you and you are me. One life we are. So we are one life. You are me and I am you. We are different expressions of the same life. Different stages of the same journey of life we are. We may have different personalities, but we are one and the same. In being, in spirit, we are. In being, in spirit, we are. We may have different personalities. We may appear as different expressions. But isn't this beautiful? Isn't this more beautiful than a monoculture of sameness? We are different, and yet we are one and the same. We are time and space different. We are spirit one and the same. In being, in spirit, we are. You are, I am, we are this, together, one, here now. And I just want to read a little bit from this book, just the inside front cover. The seeker is he who is in search of himself. Give up all questions except one. Who am I? After all, the only fact you are sure of is that you are. The I am is certain. The I am this is not. Struggle to find out what you are in reality. To know what you are, you must first investigate and know what you are not. Discover all that you are not: body, feelings, thoughts, time, space, this or that. Nothing, concrete or abstract, which you perceive can be you. The very act of perceiving shows that you are not what you perceive. The clearer you understand that on the level of mind, you can be described in negative terms only, the quicker will you come to the end of your search and realise that you are the limitless being. So let's break that down a bit. The seeker is he who is in search of himself. So you look outside you in the fragments of yourself in order to find yourself as whole beyond fragments. And so you look through the fragments, you can't find the fragments, and then you return the time and space expression back to the essence. That's like your search takes on a subtler form as your search goes through consciousness in the manifest world and then goes into thoughts, into like higher vibrations, closer and closer to spirit. You return to your essence. Give up all questions except one. Who am I? After all, the only fact you are sure of is that you are. So we exist, we exist, we exist. The I am is certain. I would say the I is certain. The I is certain. The I am is not. Or the I am this is not. So I would say, yeah, I, essence, is certain. But the identification of essence with this or that as defining itself as this or that, it's not certain, because we can argue over it. In the world of manifest forms, we can argue, well, this is truth and that's not truth. It's like, but actually, we're all arguing from truth. Truth is what is here, which is allowing us to have this conversation in the first place. To know what you are, you must first investigate and know what you are not. Okay, so this is in time and space. In time and space, where we define ourselves in opposition to other things, you must first see that all the things you thought were you, all the labels you put on top of you, are not you. You have to strip away the labels. Discover all that you are not. Okay, so discover all that you are not. Body, feelings, thoughts, time, space, this or that. Nothing, concrete or abstract, which you perceive can be you. The very act of perceiving shows that you are not what you perceive. So come back to the perceiver, come back to self. Learn who are you in these terms. The clearer you understand that on the level of mind you can be described in negative terms only, the quicker you will come to the end of your search and realise that you are the limitless being. So we search until we realise there is no search. There is nothing to search for because we are that which we search for. To find yourself, it's like, well, you never lost yourself unless your perception's a bit askew. So it's like coming back to the perceiver, back to the dreamer, and then knowing that we can understand the dream, we can understand the role of what we perceive. So that was written by Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, the talks of which are recorded in this book, I Am That. And there's also, that's right at the front cover, there's also a couple more in the front cover. This is the Amrit Bindu Upanishad, ancient Vedic Indian text. That in whom reside all beings, and who resides in all beings, who is the giver of grace to all, the supreme soul of the universe, the limitless being, I am that. That in whom reside all beings, and who resides in all beings, who is the giver of grace to all, the supreme soul of the universe, the limitless being, I am that. Essence, consciousness, awareness. Pure essence, pure consciousness, pure awareness. And then Shankaracharya, prophet, who is, I think, seen as almost like the founder of non-duality. There's a little quote from him here saying, "That which permeates all, which nothing transcends, and which, like the universal space around us, fills everything completely from within and without. That supreme non-dual Brahman, universal soul, that thou art." So, there we go. It's not just me who thinks these things. These things are out there. These things are in here. These things are accessible. And this is a true education, an education in truth, which we all need to connect with in order to experience meaning in our lives. And just to finish, I've written, you are the primary reference point for the life which you are. You are the primary reference point for the life which you are. You are the primary reference point for the life which you are.